Well, I finished The Nightingale, and 5 out of 5. It was really, really good. It was really well written. It's heartbreaking and harrowing, but it's really good. So, if you are interested in reading a book that takes place during World War II in France that isn't heavily focused on a concentration camp, I highly recommend The Nightingale. I want to look into it and see if like it's based off of a true story, like if it's based off of a true person or like a true obviously World War II and Nazis taking over France and all of that horribleness happened. I don't mean that, but I mean like the specific like what happened, like what the main thing is that happens in this during the war that like the one of the two main characters does. I will say that so the book is written mostly from the perspective of two sisters like during the war, but then there are a couple of chapters like in the beginning, middle, and end of written like 50 I almost said 50 million 50 years in the future, like in the early 90s. Can you hear that helicopter outside my window? Anyway, and the whole book, I think it's a different character. I think it's being written by a different perspective of a different character, and I don't find out until like the very end that it's a different character, and I just started crying immediately because oh my gosh, I was not expecting it. It was really good. And I'm just going to keep crying about it the more I think about it. So yeah, 5 out of 5. I highly recommend. It is very like harrowing though because it's written about what the Nazis did, and there is nothing good about Nazis. So yeah, this is definitely a book. This is definitely a time where I need like at least 12 hours to digest before I can jump into another book. Even though it was really good, I'm not like leaving it on like an excited high. This is more like I need a moment to process before I can jump into another story. Anyway, fuck the Nazis. I've got new growth on this ZZ plant, and I have new growth on this ZZ plant. The ZZs are just thriving this winter. I really need to dust their leaves though. Look at them. Oh, my dog scared me. Were you barking to be let in? Is that what you were doing? I just learned that you can change the exposure on videos on the iPhone. So if you need it to be brighter, it can be brighter. You can also make it darker if you want to like make it moody. So I made it a little bit brighter right now. I'll see how it looks in editing, I guess. But anyway, I cannot get into this book, and I'm really sad about it because this is one of the books I spent money on. I mean, like, it's not like a $1 Dollar Tree book, you know, like, I don't know, but I just, like, this is my second time trying to get into it, and I don't know. I'm immediately thrown off by the dude's name, Reginald Gatling, and I know it's a magic book. I have to keep that in mind. It's magical, but I'm kind of sad that I'm, like, struggling to get into this because I really want to read it. I mean, look how beautiful it is. The cover in and of itself is so beautiful. I hate it when a book has like a really beautiful cover, but anyway, so I might start reading The Glitch just to see, because I need to be reading something. I want to be reading something. I've been reading a lot faster this year than I expected, and so I'm gonna have to buy new books soon. I hope I'm feeling better, at least well enough to go to either Dollar Tree or Goodwill in the next couple of weeks so that I can get some books. Or I should just get over my aversion to reading like on my phone, because I can read for free books through the library on my phone. But there's something about not having a physical book that just doesn't appeal to me. Though sometimes I'm reading on a book, I'm reading a real like physical book, and I'm like, this would be so much easier if it was smaller, you know. Anyway, I'm not feeling well. Big surprise there. But I will say my dizziness today is less than my dizziness has been the last couple of days. And I'm really curious because today my period actually started, and it's the day after the full moon. So I'm like, why am I so sensitive to either the full moon or to the days like leading up to my period? Now, is your estrogen really high the few days before your period, or does it drop a few days before your period? I can't remember, but your estrogen does something like right before your period starts that can cause dizziness. And then a lot of people experience dizziness while they're on their period because of like low iron levels. But that usually feels like a queasy dizzy for me personally, whereas what I've been experiencing is just like this constant in my brain dizziness. Like this is overwhelming, like looming head dizzy. I don't know how else to explain it. I've been thinking about it, and I feel the way I've been feeling feels more Lyme than anything. Like I do feel like I'm having a Lyme flare up or relapse of some sort. I really don't think there's anything wrong with my heart. I really don't think there is. At least how I've been feeling, I don't know. Everything is so confusing. Everything is so confusing. So today I took a shower. This morning I took a shower, and I have this smartwatch, right? This quote unquote smartwatch. And I happened to glance at it while I was taking a shower, and I was feeling horrible in the shower, like dizzy, weak, shaky in the shower. And I had only been in there a couple of minutes, and I looked down and my heart rate is really high, and it's like tracking as if I'm like exercising. And so when I got out of the shower and I was like laying down because of how awful I was feeling, which this is very remnant of when I was really sick with Lyme. That's why I've been thinking more and more. I'm like, this all feels very familiar. I checked the app that's on my phone that's connected to the watch, and it was like, great job on your morning run. Like my phone thought, because of how high my heart rate was, that I was on a run this morning, when really all I was trying to do was take a shower. My heart rate got up to like 142 was the max heart rate during that time, like while I was in the shower. So I'm like, that's not good. All right, so I'm like trying to read this book, right? I'm not very far in it. I'm only like 20 some pages. And I am so confused by something right now. So this character has just gone to a bookstore and gotten a book, and then it said he ducked into another bookshop, kind of described it, and then, okay, it says, here he made an offhand comment about the weather, which was answered with a solemn nod and the slide of a much slimmer book, this one already brown papered across the counter. Okay, that's all it says about that second book. So then he like buys lunch, and then he goes to where he lives. He's like preparing tea and stuff. And then it says, the smaller of his 2 book parcels, when unwrapped, held a thin purple volume that was closer to a glorified pamphlet. Okay, that's all it said about it. And then it says, Edwin opened it to a random page and read enough for his lips and his cock to twitch in unison, then set it aside and took the book from a character to his favorite velvet armchair in front of the fire. What? I'm so confused about what this second book is and what the importance of what it does to his penis, I'm so confused. What is the point of telling me that? Not in like a prudish way, but like what is the significance? What am I missing? I'm so confused right now. Like, is the author implying that it's like he bought a porn magazine? I don't understand what the significance is. I don't get it. It's gonna like, what if it's never brought up again? I think I figured out why this book is hard for me to get into, and it's just the way that it's written. She writes, like, don't get me wrong, it takes skill to write the way that she does, but it's full of metaphors. And I'm someone, for whatever reason, like, metaphors are hard for me. Like, they just don't vibe well. I don't know how else to explain it, but it like throws me off track. And she writes like everything in metaphor, and it drives me nuts. So I think that's why it's really hard for me to get into this, because I'm so slow at reading it, because every other sentence she's describing something in metaphor. And I feel like one of the criticisms I had for One Last Stop, the other book that I read a couple weeks ago now, was that that author described things so often, like so much, like everything was like described in great detail, and it just got really annoying and like drawn out. So it's similar, but like her metaphor, her describing is very metaphoric. So they're like similar but not the same. I'm like, I just want straightforward, like, but I'm also trying to like remind myself that she's writing in a magical way. Like, for this, it makes sense because it's like a magical world. I'm trying so hard to read this. And the only reason like I'm really giving it a chance is because I've already read 5 books so far this month. So I'm like, if I can get through this, make this the last book of January, that'll be fine. The other reason is, if it hadn't been a book that I bought it wasn't even full price, it was on sale. But it was like, I don't know. The fact that I'm not working right now, so I don't have a ton of money coming in. The only money I have coming in is from my Etsy, which is nothing compared to like what I would be getting if I was working at my like in-person job. So I'm like thinking in the future, like I'm gonna be really tight my budget. I'm not gonna have a ton of money to buy books this year. So I have to just read what I have. I will say that the way that the magic is set up, at least so far, is intriguing. It's not just like a total ripoff of like Harry Potter or something like that. Like, it feels unique in itself. It also feels realistic, like realistic magic, if that's not an oxymoron. So I appreciate that about this book, that the magic seems realistic. But I will say that I am skimming some pages, because if it seems like she's just describing things, then I'm just like skimming it, because I can't with how many metaphors are in this book already. I'm just too literal in the way that I think. For example, this is a sentence: a small index card flicked out of the stacks of Edwin's mind. Okay, so you don't find out until the end of the sentence that it's something that's happening in his mind. So as I'm reading it, I'm immediately picturing a small index card flicking out of a stack, but then it's happening inside his mind. So then because of that, I'm immediately taken out. It like disrupts my reading, because now what I'm picturing isn't what is actually happening. What's actually happening is he's just thinking and recalling information. So for me, as someone who just takes things very literally for whatever reason,
it disrupts the reading experience. Whereas for, I'm sure, lots of people, that is a really cool sentence, and it like creates more of an image. I don't know, but for me it takes me out of it like too often, and she has so many of those. The one that got me to just stop completely to make this video was, he only realized when Blythe's fingers curled like dry leaves in a fire that he was tracing the symbols with his fingertip. I had to like reread that and be like, wait, what is even happening? Why are his fingers curling like dry leaves in a fire? Like, I was just like, what is happening here? So yeah, this is a me problem. And I think it does, I don't want it to seem like I'm saying she's a bad writer. I want to be clear that I acknowledge that I personally think it takes real skill to be able to write metaphors, but it just makes me think back to like specifically middle school when we're first learning about metaphors and how hard it was for me. And I was in an advanced English class. As a child, I excelled in like English reading and writing and stuff. But specifically when we were being taught metaphors and simile, like I struggled so much because my brain just doesn't work like that. Like I cannot, when we had to write our own metaphors, I couldn't do it. It was so hard for me. Now that I've like figured out why it's hard for me to get into this book, I think I'll be able to, I think it'll be better, because that's another thing about me, is I really like to know why I am a certain way, or why I'm experiencing something a certain way, or why something is happening. I like to know the why of things. Anyway, I still can't get over, I love the cover. I'm gonna keep saying that because that's like the one thing I can say about this book, is that I really like how beautiful the cover is. I am giving up on this book, at least for now. At least until I don't have anything else to read, because I'm not enjoying it. I'm bored. I'm not getting through any of it. So I am done. I gave it a chance. I gave it a couple of chances, and I'm just bored. I want to be reading, and this is not, it's not working. So I feel really awful right now because like an hour ago now, I tried to wash dishes for like 20 minutes. I was standing washing dishes, and I just got like more and more dizzy, and I pushed myself too far, and I didn't even get all the dishes washed. And then my heart was racing like so much that I was like, I'm gonna pass out if I don't stop and lay down. So then I just like laid down, and I was like really hot. I like got overheated. It's fine. It's totally fine. But all of this is just so reminiscent of Lyme, and I just keep having flashbacks, I guess. No, I don't want to say they're not actual flashbacks. They're just memories of like really awful, they're just really awful memories of when I was really, really sick. And I'm like, I can't do that again. I cannot do that again. I can't go back there. It's like worse this time around because of the pandemic. Because like before, it's like not every single person was dealing with a medical thing, you know? But right now, every single person is. Whether they are consciously being careful, whether they're like worried about it or not, like the truth is like every single person is going through a big medical trauma. I hate right now. I hate right now. I hate my life. I hate what's going on. I'm really upset. But hey, right now in this moment, I'm safe. Right now in this moment, I'm not in an emergency situation. Right now in this moment, I am, the room isn't spinning around me. I feel like I'm spinning, but the room isn't.
When the room is spinning, that's when, like, shit is bad. I have much to be grateful for, and I just need to chill out.
Well, guys, it's the end to another week. I have been having some really bad days the last couple of days. Physically bad. Yesterday, I was so dizzy. I really didn't know what I was gonna do. Like, I was having, like, double vision, which is rare for me. I don't normally have double vision, thankfully. So that kind of made my anxiety way worse about everything, you know, because then my brain starts to catastrophize, like, why I'm having double vision. Just not good times. And then also my physical body, I'm just in a lot of physical pain. When I know part of that is that I am laying down most of the day, or sitting, but mostly laying down because I'm so dizzy. So that is just hard on my body because I'm in my 30s and bodies don't like to do that. They like to move around. So just in a lot of physical pain, but that's okay. I'm hanging in there. People from my job are so nice though. They like can keep reaching out to me and, like, you know, seeing how I'm doing and letting me know they miss me and stuff like that, which is really nice. And apparently one of our, like, regular customers called the store. You would have to meet him. If you met him, if you saw him, you would understand 100% about this, but he called the store to let me specifically know that he had gotten COVID, but he was doing a lot better. He was feeling a lot better. And so that's why he hadn't been in the store in a while. He's like an older gentleman. And my coworker was like, okay, I'll be sure to let her know. So just stuff like that is nice. So anyway, I see the cardiologist tomorrow. So in the next video, you'll see that. But yeah, in the meantime, be safe, be well. I hope you find ways to enjoy your life, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.